Hey guys, Paul here, the Impulsive Culinarian, and in this video I want to talk to you about my gluten-free Filipino beef Mechado recipe. So guys, this is part one in a four-part series on recipes that I'm doing that are concentrating on countries in Southeast Asia, okay? This episode, we're squarely concentrating on the Philippines, or Filipino, or as affectionately referred to as Pinoy recipes, okay? There's this lovely recipe called beef Mechado. So one thing that really interested me about this recipe is the history, all right? I love a good history lesson when it comes to the culinary arts. Philippines, former Spanish colony, and so a heavy Spanish culinary influence in that whole area. Well, Mechado, the word actually comes from Spanish mecha, which means threaded or wick, okay? And what they used to do back when this recipe was created was they would take leaner cuts of meat, which don't cook well in a stew pot. After hours, they just get hard and tough. And they would use a wick of a lardon of fat or something that with flavor. They would basically weave fat into the lean meat to give it flavor and allow it the chance to stew and cook with lots of flavor and become tender. All right, and of course, as time has gone on, that's not really the practice anymore, although some do the authentic recipe. So I'm going to be using chuck beef, all right? And of course, anyone who makes a good stew knows that the marbling of fat in there, it's great. That's pure flavor. And so when you stew that for 2 or 3 hours, the meat gets tender and the fat, the collagen breaks down, and oh, it just tastes delicious. So we're not doing the lardons or wicks of fat into a leaner, tougher meat. We're just going to go with a good beef cut from the start. Okay, so let's split this into two parts, guys. We're going to talk about the stew ingredients. You're going to need 2 yellow peppers, yellow like in the Filipino flag, 1 head of garlic cloves, 2 cups of vegetable broth, preferably homemade, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 pounds of good quality marbled chuck beef, which you're going to trim and cut into rustic chunks, 2 tablespoons of Dairy Free Margarine, 1 large Spanish onion, which you're going to quarter and thinly slice, 1 carrot peeled and you're going to cut into long matchsticks, 1 cup of full-bodied red wine, something that you would drink, and 2 bay leaves. All right, let's move on to the tomato sauce ingredients. This is where I go into full fusion mode, guys. 4 large tomatoes, which you're going to peel and seed, 1 overripe banana, yes, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, 1 French shallot finely chopped, 1 teaspoon of fresh ginger, which you're also going to finely chop, a clove of garlic, also finely chopped, 1 teaspoon of sriracha sauce, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 ounce of some good rum, half a tablespoon of kosher salt, and some freshly ground black pepper to taste. Let's make some beef Mechado. So let's take a culinary holiday to the Philippines, all right, guys? Set your broiler to maximum. All right, so yellow, just like the sun and stars in the Filipino flag, core 2 yellow peppers. There you go, guys. Nice flat pieces of sweet bell pepper. I don't know if you guys use this technique, but I find that chopping off the top and the bottom and then straight sides without having to do any seeding in the middle, best way to do it. All right, so next, line a baking sheet with just a piece of foil and get those peppers skin side up, spread them evenly on the sheet. So there you go. Now with the broiler rack in the top position of your oven, set a timer, always set a timer when you're broiling, for 8 minutes. Check and make sure if you've got those skins nice and blackened. 8 minutes, top rack. All right, so while you're roasting those peppers on the broiler, get yourself a head of garlic, all right, and chop off the top such that you can see the naked top of every single garlic clove. So with a really sharp knife, guys, that's the end result. You want to see the top of each of those cloves, and then go get a ramekin. All right, so an oven-safe ramekin like this will do the trick, or if you don't have one of these, just a pie plate or a cake pan will do. Get the head of garlic in there with those exposed cloves facing up, and then drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil. There you go, guys. So I've poured just a little bit of olive oil on top so that every single clove is going to be nice and saturated. Then cover that up with some tin foil. There you go. A nice little package ready for the oven. As soon as we're finished broiling these peppers, that's going to go in. Okay, so I'm hyper safe about broiling anything, okay? So 8 minutes, I know, is just a little bit shy of the time required for my oven. Your oven might be high powered. It might be done in 7, so just keep an eye on it. Let's look and see. Okay, so we're 8 minutes into the broiling process, guys. We'll take a quick look. Those are just starting to get nice and blackened, but you know what? I want them to char a little bit more. So 2 more minutes. Even if it's just 2 more minutes, timer. I can't stress it enough. Timer. 2-minute timer. Get those peppers out. That's perfect. That's what we want. Each one of those little roasted peppers has a beautiful blackened, blistered skin. Excellent. Okay, so now that the peppers are out, turn off the broiler and set your oven to 400 degrees. Guaranteed it's already going to be there, but that's okay. Set your oven to 400. He says, I know, I'm already really hot. Okay, perfect. So that's great. Your little garlic pod now, put this in the center rack and set a 1-hour timer. All right, so when your peppers have cooled just for a minute or 2, get them into an airtight container. For the duration of this preparation phase, you want them to be cooling in here, and that humidity is going to detach the skin from the peppers so that when you need them, they're super easy to peel. So get your roasted peppers in an airtight container. All right, so the vegetable broth. If you're like me and you make homemade, I mean, nothing beats homemade. It tastes amazing and you know what's in it, then you want to get that started, meaning you want to warm it up in a saucepan with a good tight-fitting lid. Keep it warm so that it's ready for when you need it. All right, so warm up your broth. Next up, you want to take 4 big ripe tomatoes with lots of flavor, okay, and peel them, seed them, get the chunks in a food processor. Well, that looks lovely. There you have 4 beautiful beefsteak tomatoes peeled and seeded, okay? Doesn't look like much when you're done, but that's exactly what you need. Now, the thing is, we're missing one secret ingredient. Oh. All right, so I've had a lot of fun researching this beef Mechado. Now, there are a lot of very passionate Filipinos who feel strongly about what should or should not be in their version of beef Mechado. So I had to just take, a culinary license on this and do my own fusion of it based on what I learned. And one thing that I learned that I didn't know about ever is that there's such a thing as banana ketchup. Banana ketchup. This intrigued me. I ended up spending almost as much time researching banana ketchup as I did beef Mechado. Like, where does that come from? Banana ketchup? And so to pay homage to this very popular Filipino ingredient, I've decided to add an overripened banana into my tomato sauce. And after some trials and some tests, I found out it is freaking good. 1 overripened banana. Peel it, get it in the blender. All right, so we've got 4 ripe, seeded, peeled tomatoes in there, chopped into big chunks. We've also got 1 overripened banana. Blitz it until it's completely smooth. Okay, look at that. A beautifully pureed banana tomato slurry. Oh, I'm so excited. Wow, that smells so cool. All right, so let's take this and put it in a nice clean bowl, set it aside until we need it. All right, so before we get into the next step, let's take a moment while things are relatively calm in between bakings, okay? And we're gonna mince up or finely chop our garlic clove, our shallot, and our ginger. So it's definitely worth taking the time to prepare this before you start your sauce, guys. So you got your finely chopped shallot, finely chopped ginger, and a finely chopped clove of garlic. Okay, let's make a sauce. Okay, so get yourself another medium-sized saucepan. Get that over medium-low heat. And grab some coconut oil. So spoon out 2 generous tablespoons of coconut oil into your saucepan. All right, so with the coconut oil melted, add the shallot and the ginger into the saucepan, stirring occasionally, and you want to saute that over medium-low for around 5 minutes. So while that shallot and ginger are sauteing nicely over medium-low heat, I've gone and prepared my little bowl here of sriracha sauce, brown sugar, and some rum. Ah, yes. This is the smell that I would imagine comes from a good Filipino kitchen. All of these beautiful ingredients, the coconut, the banana, the ginger, the garlic, Spanish influence, Asian influence. How delicious is that? Come on now. All right, so when you've had 5 minutes on the shallot and the ginger, add in the garlic. All right, once the garlic becomes nice and fragrant, and before anything starts to brown, add in the puree of tomatoes and banana. Okay, next goes the sriracha sauce, brown sugar, and rum. All right, last one into the pool is a half a tablespoon of kosher salt and a bunch of freshly ground black pepper to your taste. All right, so once you've got all your ingredients in the sauce, guys, stir it together so it's really thoroughly combined, and then let it come to a gentle boil. All right, so as this sauce heats up, you're gonna wanna let it reduce and thicken, but when it starts to come to a boil, oh, that's what I call an ugly boil, right? It spits everything out. So you wanna keep that on low, turn down the heat to low, and partially cover it so that you don't have this huge mess to clean up when you're done. That's the way you wanna leave it, on low for an hour. Guys, I love this sauce. I am so addicted to it. Even before it's reduced, it tastes so different. It's unlike anything that I've ever tried. And so I'm pretty proud of it, but you gotta let it reduce. So give it an hour on low heat and let it simmer. It'll darken a little tiny bit, and this is gonna be one hell of an ingredient to stew your beef in. Speaking of which, all right, it's time to get out the meat. Your chuck beef. Sharpen up. All right, so go see your butcher. Tell him what you plan on doing, because if he doesn't have chuck beef cubes, he may suggest something else that is equally good, if not better. But for the price, I love chuck beef, okay, with a great marbling in there, lots of fat content, beautiful stewing meat. So you want to chop these up into rustic chunks. All right, so here's what I mean by rustic chunks, guys. Basically just non-uniform sizes. I got triangles, I got cubes, I got the whole gamut, all right? Into 1 to 1.5 inch size chunks, I think is good, nice bite size. Look at the beautiful marbling on this beef. It's going to be so delicious when all of that fat and collagen melts into the broth. Yum! All right, so let's season this beautiful chuck beef with a generous amount of kosher salt and freshly ground black pepper. All right, so the next thing you want to do, guys, is get out a Dutch oven and set it over medium-high heat. So while your Dutch oven is warming up, if you're fast on the knife, you might want to take advantage of that time to chop up your onion and your carrot. If you're feeling like it might take you some time, wait before you turn on the heat on your Dutch oven. Okay, thinly sliced Spanish onion, matchstick carrots. Let's go to the next step. All right, so once your Dutch oven is nice and hot, get 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there, and let's start browning some meat. So every Dutch oven is different, guys, but once you get your meat in there, look at that, around 1 minute or 30 seconds, depending on the heat, should do the trick. You don't want to cook them, you just want them to get nice and brown. That's gorgeous. So be sure to go in small batches. Depending on the size of your Dutch oven, make sure the pieces of meat don't touch each other. So at some point during this process, probably at the most inopportune moment, the timer for your garlic is going to go off. So when it's been there for an hour in the oven, take it out, set it aside to cool. Okay, once the quick and messy business of browning those beef cubes is done, you're going to have a beautiful bowl of chuck beef, all right? So let the juices accumulate and set that aside while you reduce the heat to medium on your Dutch oven and get a little bit of Dairy Free Margarine. All right, so get 2 tablespoons of margarine into your warm Dutch oven. Then you want to add your Spanish onion and your matchstick carrots. Here's a great technique, guys, to make sure you never lose any of the flavor. You can see it's only been a minute or 2 and there's not anything left in the bottom of that pan. Just the moisture from the vegetables has done the trick. So 6 to 8 minutes, let them get nice and tender. So while those onions and carrots are sauteing, you can take your roasted peppers and start peeling those skins off. See what I mean about the skins, guys? Boom, they just come right off. All right, so to keep along with the rest of the cutting theme of my recipe, I'm going to cut the roasted peppers also into matchstick-sized pieces. So it's been around 7 minutes, and these onions and carrots are just starting to brown, and they're nice and softened. So now it's time to add a cup of red wine. In goes the red vino. Okay, so now that the wine is in the Dutch oven, you want to let that reduce at medium heat for around 5 minutes. Get it nice and flavorful. Now, depending where you are with all of the timing of your stuff, you need to let that sauce, remember that tomato banana sauce, you need to let it reduce for 1 hour. So if you're not there, if you've got another 30 minutes to go, then you can remove your Dutch oven from the heat just for a little while until your sauce is ready. But if you've done everything sort of as I've laid it out, everything should be happening at the same time. So my sauce is almost ready. As soon as that wine is reduced, I'm going to add the tomato sauce into the Dutch oven. So just a quick note about flavors, guys. You know, the airtight container that I was using to let my peppers cool, well, now that they're sliced, that's great, but you don't want to throw away that beautiful juice, right? That's pure flavor. Don't throw it away. Add it to the stew. Wow, guys, we've been doing a lot of preparation, but it's about time to add all those magic ingredients together into the Dutch oven and create something magical, okay? So let's get this tomato sauce into the Dutch oven. Just before I do add it though, guys, I want you to have a look. This is fantastic. It's reduced, it's darkened in color. It's only gotten even better in flavor. This is an amazing tomato sauce. Filipino style. Going in to the Dutch oven. In goes the sauce. Next, the beef with all the drippings, guys. Next comes the roasted peppers along with all that great juice. And don't forget, roasted garlic. Come on! It just keeps getting better. Carefully pluck out each of those little cloves of roasted garlic and get them into the stew. All right, so almost everything is in the pot now, guys. All we have to do is gently stir these ingredients together so it's just combined. All right, now that you're there, and depending on the size of your Dutch oven, you may have very little liquid, you might have a lot of liquid. It all depends on how you've added your ingredients. That's why you've got 2 cups of warm vegetable broth. What you want to do is you want to just top up this lovely dish with enough liquid to make sure that all your meat is just fully submerged. So go ahead, add what you need. I'm going to guess that I added around 1.5 cups of broth, and I've got just a couple of pieces of beef poking up. So I'm going to gently submerge all of those, guys. I want all of the beef to be underneath that beautiful broth. That's the only way that it's going to get tender when the time is done. Okay, no need to stir. Let everything sit the way it is. And of course, all of the juices are going to combine and the flavors are going to marry together over the next 3 hours. So take 2 bay leaves, drop them on top, make sure your heat is at low, cover it up, and walk away for 3 hours. Well, no one knows me to be a patient man, but 3 long hours has finally expired, guys. Let's have a look. All right, let's reveal this sucker. Well, there's a stew. Oh my God, that looks so freaking good. And all of those long matchsticks of peppers and carrots. There's only 1 bay leaf though. I'm gonna go, oh, I think there's the other one. I got my 2 bay leaves. I'm gonna fish those out, give this a little stir, and probably a little taste. All right, I fished out my 2 bay leaves. Now I'm gonna gently stir this stew. And guys, I've already tried one of the pieces of meat. It's so tender, just falls apart in your mouth. But wait till I tell you about the flavors. Guys, it's unbelievable. As I'm stirring this and I'm looking at all of the beautiful richness, the red wine, the vegetable broth, that crazy banana tomato sauce with these beautiful vegetables and the beef, it just falls apart. It literally falls apart. This is one hell of a stew. Oh, I'm so excited to try it. Oh my goodness. The beef just falls apart if you even touch it with the spoon, and these crazy matchsticks of carrots and roasted peppers. What a beautiful dish. What a beautiful dish. Let's get a mouthful of that. I can't remember ever having a stew with these unique flavors. Beef stew is one thing. Irish stew or bœuf bourguignon. but this is so unique, very special. You gotta try, guys. So guys, definitely one of the more unique dishes that I've ever developed, okay? I can't say enough about this recipe. I'm so happy to have discovered inspiration from the Philippines, from my Filipino culinary cousins. It is really worth trying. It's such a crazy dish, but it really comes together, and the end product is so special. I really hope that you're going to give it a try. If you've liked this video, guys, you know what to do. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to join me every Wednesday night for the Wines Day live weekly update right here in the Impulsive Culinarian kitchen, where I open up a brand new bottle of wine, usually red, but sometimes white. I'm exploring. And of course, every Thursday, my quick and easy healthy recipe videos, and every Saturday, right back here in the kitchen. Stay tuned for part 2 of my Southeast Asian recipe series. I'll catch you in the next video, guys.